might get frustrated with the regime at Arsenal and leave. So I always say, Lee, okay, cool. Let's just assume Arteta's thought, you know what? We're not from the same hymn sheet now. I want to leave. I want to go. If he leaves, the club's still going to be here. We're going to have to find another manager. So my point is, until we get over the line, there's got to be something said. Like even one, I think there's two things that I think have harmed Arteta. I think not winning domestic trophies on top of winning the FA Cup would have probably alleviated some pressure. And a lot of people said, you know what, we've given it a good go, but we're playing a master team in Man City. They're powerhouses. They're great. If they ever fall off, we're going to be there to pounce. Now, as you saw last season, we wasn't there. Liverpool was there, whether we shape it or not. So I think that puts a bit more pressure in. Even like the Super Chat is saying we're the favourites for the Premier League next year. As it stands, for me, I don't believe such.
No, I don't think that we are. But I'll tell you what, you know, and there's some great points you make there. Like, you know, under Arsene Wenger, we won FA Cups and that. Like, yeah, let's go back to that. And when people turn around and say, "Oh yeah, I want us to win the FA Cup," right? And if Arteta had done that, then fine. You know what I mean? And I get that. I do get that. But I remember going to Anfield, Manchester City, Manchester United, winning those FA Cups and getting smashed 4-5-0 or 4-5-1, being beaten at half time in those games.
Write-offs.
And I was walking out. No one was going like, oh, that's all right, we won the FA Cup. You know what I mean? Like, it was genuinely like rawness. Now, wherever we go, whether it be, you know, like Tottenham, like the last 3 years we've won there. We haven't won there for I don't know how many years before that. We go to Manchester City. I come away out of Manchester City disappointed that we've conceded a last-minute goal with 10 men. I've got to go to Man United, disappointed that we've drawn 1-1. I go to Liverpool over the last few years, not beaten them, but not lost to them. I come out of Anfield a few years ago. We were 4-1 down at half time. So wherever we go in the country, I feel that we've got a chance of winning games of football and not get humiliated. Look, you're going to get beat. Every now and then you're going to get beat, and we have. But we go to grounds feeling. Listen, I've gone to grounds like Man City over the last few years. Chelsea as well. I'm going to bring that one into it because we haven't lost there for a while. Chelsea and Liverpool, hoping that we don't get humiliated by 3 or 4. Right? And not hoping, you know, but I genuinely go to these games now thinking that we might win a game. So is that down to the manager? Is that down to the players and whatever? We've improved. Yes.
I have to give the manager and everyone credit.
Yes, we drew loads of games last season that we shouldn't have done, and that's got to be improved. Don't get me wrong. I don't think we should be saying, right, this is that. There's things that Arteta has got to do next season. It's no good saying to, right, this, for instance, right, well, get rid of Martinelli. He's had one bad season or whatever, like, you know what I mean, or he's not improved. You're the same with the manager. The manager's got to improve every season as well, like, you know what I mean?
And this was the first year last year he didn't. So I need him to.
Exactly that. Now, he's had 14. Now, he should be sitting in his office today or when he sits down with whoever. What do we need to improve on, right? You can say goal scoring, you can say this. My thing is like 14 times we drew in the league. We've got to knock that down to 5, right?
7 max.
Right.
If that.
What do we need to do? So that's what we've got to do. We've got to start winning games that we were drawing. And the reason I think that we were drawing games last season more than winning those games was because he was afraid more to lose a game than win a game. He needs to get out everything. Now, if he's got the centre forward and all that, that might change. But that's something we've got to improve on. So there's things for Arteta to improve on and make sure that he's better on. And if he's not, and you know, for instance, if Arsenal finish second again next season, 14 draws or 13 draws and 12 draws and an extra defeat and all that, yeah, you're right, we're going to look at him and go like, you know, I mean, this is not acceptable. He's put you. Sometimes your success can be your failure. He's put us into this position, right?
Yeah, you die by the standards you set and the things you say.
Exactly that. That's a great quote. It's a great quote. He has now got to make it happen. you know, he's got us to a certain level. Now that's the same as you can. Let's look at any footballer. You can look at. Let's look at Ramsdale. Got us to a Champions League. Got us into the Champions League. Arteta felt that he couldn't take us to the next level. That's the same with a manager. The same with a manager, like, you know what I mean? Like, right, you've had a couple of bites at it now. Are you the man to take us to that level? If you're not, if you can't do it, we'll get someone else in. And, like, you know, this thing about, oh, well, who are we going to get and all that, like, you know what I mean? I don't see other teams worrying. Like, Liverpool, you know, had a far, far better manager than Mikel Arteta in Klopp. Far, far better manager. He went and look at them. So I don't buy into all of that, like, you know what I mean, like, and you know, so you, no one's irreplaceable. You know, I remember being, well, what are we going to do when Ian Wright leaves Arsenal? Nicholas Anelka come along. When Nicholas Anelka went. Well, that's us finished and all that. Thierry Henry come in there, like, and you can go on about Thierry Henry was unbelievable. Never going to replace Thierry Henry and the likes of Patrick Vieira. They're greats. But what you got in there, along come Van Persie scoring goals left, right, and centre. Addy Bayor come in there, like, it'll always go on, and it's the same with managers. Same with managers. You know what I mean? Like, so Arteta's under pressure, and ain't make no mistake about it. He's under pressure because why? Of what he's done to get us to where we had. And do you know what's more important why he should be under pressure? Because he's Arsenal manager.
Exactly, and pressure's a privilege. Either it makes diamonds or it bursts his pipes. And even to, not that I think the Cronkies will necessarily sack Arteta if we get top four. If we, in terms of the finishes in the competitions this year, God forbid, but if we fast forward to the end of this season coming, if it was the same thing, I don't think they're going to necessarily get rid of him. But all those people that say, who are we going to get? They conveniently forget that we got Arteta when he had no CV. He was part of Pep Guardiola's coaching stuff. So if you can find someone like that, you must be able to find someone. But for me, as Lee said, and everyone else, we hope it works for Arteta. It's just a fair question if we don't get it through the line. Like, it's all fun and games, beating Real Madrid, not getting embarrassed in the champs, great record against the top six, all of that sort of stuff. But when it's all said and done, there's nothing set in history. And my biggest fear in that, I believe in taking full advantage in your life of the present. We've had 3 years, different sort of shenanigans to speak about. We finished second. So let's just be hard on the problem and try to get over the line. Obviously, Lee, you kind of mentioned that, you know, Gyökeres was the one you wanted. It seems like we're making progress. They were haggling over 5 million as we've all seen. Before I ask you the other question, did you think we'd go for Gyökeres over Sesko? Because I must admit, I did think Sesko was the one the club would go for.
I did think Sesko, but again, like, you know, my mate said the other day, I can't take credit for it. Like, you know, he's not quite ready yet. Like, so bringing Gyökeres in 2 years' time, go and get Sesko. That's what you want. What we need at the moment is maybe Sesko is a higher seeding, but we're at a stage now where we're 3 years. Bomb. We need the right man now, the real deal now, and that is him. You know what I mean?
No
like,
potential, just ready.
So for me, you bring him in, you might be for 2 years, and then like Sesko might be ready, and then you go, do you know what? Ruthless. There you go.
There'll be a next Sesko about as well. In a 5-year period for Gyökeres being here, there'll be a next one. We might look back at Sesko and be upset, but if Gyökeres does the business and we win the league,
that we need it now. We need it now. Like, Sesko, I think, is a good player. I think that maybe seeding's higher in 2 years' time, 3 years' time. I think maybe he's going to be a good player. But at the end of the day, I think to spend a lot of money on potential, I think you've got to have the real deal. That's why I thought we would go for Sesko. If you want me to be really honest and put me head on the chopping block, I'm going to say probably Sesko's the better player. Got a little
he probably is. Like, I always get bantered on the very platform we're using right now because people said, like, you just DG, you love centric, you love potential too much. I said I like Gyökeres and I like Sesko. I can see how Sesko can tie in, etc. I do believe he's going to have a great future, but I can also understand when people are like, oh, he's got 13 goals. Equally, one thing that attracted me to Gyökeres, he's 27. It's win now mode. This is the biggest it's going to get for you. And we've all seen and heard the little things down to leaving his girlfriend and the ruthlessness he's showing to get this move. Imagine what he'll do to score goals. And for me, I'm intrigued because I think we get too caught up as Arsenal fans. Of course, you need players that, fit the manager's system and all of those things. But I think we get too caught up on that, and I think we've become a bit rigid with Gyökeres. He's not the typical, in my opinion, Mikel Arteta striker. Like, his general play might not be up there to a Kai Havertz or things like that, but he's a cold-hearted killer. So it's going to force Mikel Arteta to try things differently. I'm not comparing him to Haaland, for example, because Pep Guardiola's won it with no striker, with a striker in, and with hella false nines. But when he got Haaland, he had to know that Haaland's general play isn't like how my other forwards are. So I'm going to meet him halfway. I need you to do 50% of what you are, Haaland, and I also need you to buy into the philosophy, where to press and all of that. And I think that would be the case with Gyökeres. And the main thing for me is, let's all be honest, Saka for the last 3 years been our only consistent goal scorer. He is too big of a burden for him to carry. So if you get the Gyökeres, if you get someone on the left hand side that brings numbers, you've got the Havertz and Trossards and Martinellis and all them guys, chipping in with goals here and there, we're happy as Larry. But we need to go and get the other two pieces of the puzzle. I do want to ask you though, because I understand, people can have their viewpoints between Sesko and Gyökeres and whatever, but I do think there's been a lot of, like, from some sections of our fan base, a lot of, like, they're really against Gyökeres, and some, like this tweet says here, is, some people genuinely don't feel he's a better forward than Kai Havertz. Like, where do you stand with that? I think that's crazy.
There's an argument that he's probably not a better footballer than Havertz. You know what I mean? Havertz probably link up play might be better and all that, but it's not. That's not what we want. We want a goal scorer. Who's better, a goal scorer? And that's, you know what I mean? That's what we want. Why are people? Listen, Aubameyang was a great goal scorer, but he let us down. Or what his weakest part of his game was his hold up play and everything like that. Right?
He's just a goal scorer.
He was just a goal scorer. You've got to be a little bit more than that if you want to win things at the top level now. Like, you've got to be a goal scorer, but you've got to be out holding the ball up. Now, what I've seen of Gyökeres, and I've watched him in the Champions League, I've actually seen him play against Arsenal when he hardly got a kick of the game, but he still caused problems, still held the ball up under pressure of two of the best central defenders in the league, in Gabriel and Saliba. He can do that, but he's a natural goal scorer, like more of a goal scorer. Like, I look at it, and I don't mean this as a criticism for Kai Havertz and all that. I think that Kai goes to sleep, puts his head on his pillow with a big smile on his face, whether he scored or whether he's assisted. Right? I don't think Gyökeres does. I think he goes to bed very, very happy when he scored, not so happy when he ain't. Now, he has created a lot of goals as well, like, and he has assisted. If you have a look at his assist rate, he's a good,
and his head won't drop if you don't back.
No, I think he's a player that, and also this is a guy, and I think that this sometimes goes a little bit like Ian Wright to a certain degree. This is his big moment. He's been working all his life at Coventry to go to Sporting.
Didn't happen for him at Brighton either.
Yeah, to get the big offer, big chance to make it happen. And you've got an opportunity, a once in a life opportunity to do it at Arsenal, like Ian Wright did. You're not gonna mess around. You're gonna be right up for it. So I just think that, listen, like Kai Havertz is a different sort of a player, like, and that's the difference between you don't get 50 goals playing like Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz wouldn't get 50 goals in Portugal because he plays a different way.
Exactly. And that's what people fail to understand, Lee. It's like, obviously, I'm not saying Gyökeres is perfect. I don't feel there is a player who's perfect. But at the end of the day, if we want general play, Kai Havertz's general play, objectively, could be better than Gyökeres's. Gabriel Jesus probably has better general play than Gyökeres and obviously Haaland. But he can't do what we need them to do. And I know the game's changed and strikers got to pull out wide. And it is a selfless act. I feel I would prefer to be a winger than a striker, because I think that's where you get your 1v1s. We need someone that can put the ball in the back of the net. Like, when I watch his highlights or watch his games, of course he scored a variety of finishes and great goals, but it's actually, Lee, for me, the unglamorous ones. Like, he's in the box, he just bought a yard of space, left foot, bang, out of there, he scored. We need a couple of that. Going back to what you said with the draws, if we had that, those draws, it's not the only reason we drew games, but some of those where we've just needed to kill teams, it starts to change, and I'm all for it. Do you think we're going to get Eze?
Yes.
I hope you're right, man. I hope you're right. Do you think we get Rodrigo?
No. I think we get Gyökeres and we get Eze, and we might get the Chelsea guy. I think that Eze will. Listen, I think Rodrigo, if it was to happen, will be right at the end. Right at the end.
That's what that was my thinking, and I think they're like, and I'd love to know your thoughts. Like, you look at Eze, that's about 60 odd. Gyökeres about 70 odd. Madueke, we're hearing about 50 odd. Obviously, I don't know how much the club earn and whatnot, but surely all of this can't happen without getting a move on and selling players that actually need to go, and maybe quote unquote an unpopular sell. You know, Trossard and Martinelli are linked with moves away.
Well, sometimes, there's always got to be a sacrifice somewhere along the line, isn't there? Like, whether that is Martinelli, I don't think it will be Martinelli. I think he'll be. Trossard's done fantastically well as a squad player, but like to bring in money for him and at his age, it's hard. Again, we're talking, it's ruthless, but that's how it is. I think we need. Listen, I think if you was to get Eze and Gyökeres, Zubimendi, that's good business. I would, like to get Rodrigo, I would go the extra mile and get him than spend 50 million on a backup.
I'd been off the Madueke stuff. I hope it's a master stroke and it just shows why I'm a fan. But
you got like Wanyeri as well to add to that attacking flair as well. So I think that if you got Eze and Gyökeres, I'm not saying you're going to win the league, but you've got a bloody good chance. You've got a bloody good chance.
You put your best foot forward.
Yeah. So like that's how I see it. Like, what I mean? Like, I'd love to get like Rodrigo or an Anthony Gordon, that sort of type of player as well, because that just adds more directness to the team, if you like.
As it stands, this man's still, in my opinion, the first choice left winger, unless it's a master stroke with Madueke. Martinelli's still starting, and I love Martinelli. Everyone knows that. But if we want to cross into winning titles, I need to know definitely my front three are getting certain amount of goals. I know Saka can do it. I believe Gyökeres could at least get 15, 20. I don't think Martinelli and Trossard are bad, and I don't think Madueke. I think they could chip in and go through purple patches, but I don't know. Like I've been saying on my channel, apart from Saka, I know we will score goals. We'll probably get 90 to 100 goals. I know players will score goals, but who? I don't know, and I need to be able to answer these things. Well, I need to think I can answer these things as a humble fan, I'd say.
As we're saying, like, what I mean? I think that if Martinelli stays, it's make or break for him this season. He's got to perform.
Him and Odegaard.
Listen, Odegaard as well. But the back end of last season, I thought that Martinelli was probably our best forward out of all of them. I felt Saka done incredibly well to come back, even play at the level he did. Incredible, but nowhere near at the level that he was before he got injured. By the way, but. So you imagine if you've got, a couple of years ago, you had Saka flying down one. So Martinelli, do you remember we went to Liverpool? I know we drew 2-2 in the end of the game, but for 30 minutes of that game.
It was in dreamland.
Liverpool
was quiet until the Saka thing.
Yeah, Liverpool could not handle us, you know what I mean? So we've got to try and get back to that. I think that, if I'll be really honest, I think that Jesus was a massive loss to us with his injuries. I think that if he'd have stayed fit... If he'd have stayed fit, we wouldn't be having this conversation so much now. I do think we would have won it that season, because he was just incredible until that World Cup.
Yeah, and that was the beginning of the end, and even his future subject to speculation.
Yeah. We we run out of steam, but at the end of it, if he would have stayed fit, who knows? You know what I mean? I think he's a wonderful footballer. I really do. Again, not the goal scorer, but he brought other players into the game, made it. I remember playing
great facilitator.
Yeah, playing against Wolves. Funny, the game before the World Cup, he didn't score, but he was the one that created it, and you just think it was a matter of time before we scored. But listen, I like to see him come back, but I just ain't going to get back to the level.
Two ACLs is harsh, man.
It's just a tragic.
Horrible.
To have. So, yeah. So, you know, like I think at the end of the day, if Martinelli comes in, he's going to have to, you know, or he stays or whatever. There's pressure on him, but I think the kid can handle it. And I'd love it. I'd love him to score 20 goals next season and prove everything.
Man, I still think there's something in him, but you're not doing it, are you? I don't know why you don't play up front.
He doesn't play with the protection of Saka, where he's got a right back behind him. He has to play like with no one covering left back because he's gone inverted and whatever. I think that there is defensive duties to his game, which limits him a little bit. I'm not making excuses. I think that's a fact. But at the end of the day, so maybe Arteta's got to tinker with that. I think that there's a little bit of pressure on Arteta to get the best out of the front three as well. Like, you know what I mean? I don't think it's just like you know, oh, let's go and spend 60, 70 million. You potentially got a 60, 70 million pound player already there and you want to sell. So I think, you know, a little bit on Arteta to get that done, get that right as well.
Why don't you think Martinelli's been given a go as a number 9?
He had a couple of games last season and scored.
Yeah, he's flirted with it. Yeah,
I don't know. I think that, you know, he proved the manager a little bit wrong last season with a few of those games. I think, if I'd be really honest, if the one thing that I would say is his physicality. I think you need to have that big, strong player up front, a little bit like, you know. So
bit one-dimensional as well.
Maybe.
Which is a bit jarring.
Got pace though, isn't he? And can finish.
Love him.
Can finish. I think, like, also with Martinelli, I think people are missing out the thing is that he can play up in 3 positions. He can play wide right, he can play wide left, he can play down the middle. So if he was to become a squad, not first choice, he's definitely a rotator that can go into different positions and still getting a lot of game time at Arsenal. But I think it's massive that he proves himself.
I think you're bang on the money. My last 2 questions for you, Lee, man. We've been linked with Ranieri potentially signing a new deal, and Saliba's apparently been given his first proposal of a new contract. What do you make of that?
Yeah, listen, Ranieri, I've got no worries about that with Ranieri. I think.
Hope so.
I think that he'll sign. I'm a little bit baffled when people are starting to criticise him because he's asking about his game time. Why shouldn't he ask what his plans are like? You know what I mean? I've just signed this. I want to know where I'm going to play, what I'm going to do, and whatever.
How I figure into the plans.
Yeah, exactly. Why shouldn't he, and why shouldn't he ask that? Like, you know, so for me, that's not a problem. And if you're good enough, you will get games, and he will get games, and he will be a big star. Saliba, listen, I know for a fact that he's very, very happy at Arsenal, loves Arsenal, very, very settled at Arsenal. And at this moment in time, not wanting to move.
It will happen one day, but like, yeah, we need
that
to.
May come but can I emphasise this? It may happen whether he's winning trophies or not. Arsenal may win the league for the next 3 years. He still may want to go. Like,
look at Trent and Ronaldo.
Trophies. It will help if he wants to stay. If he wants to leave, whether he's won trophies or not, he'll leave. That is how it is. But at this moment in time, he wants to win and wants to win big with Arsenal. So, you know, Arsenal might win the double next season, and he could, you know what, I've done what I've done here and want away. So when people say, "Oh, we've got to win things and all that," not necessarily. This moment
it's the nature of the game.
Yeah, and the one thing with him, and I think it's a big thing with him, he knows how good he is. He knows he's one of the best.
You hear the way he speaks.
Know that as well, like, you know. So at the end of the day, I think he'll be offered a big contract, and deservedly so.
Deservedly so. Last question for you, Lee, is from the chat before I let you get out of it. Lee, would you be comfortable if we are penny pinching at the moment to get Rodrigo when he becomes available because he's our top target? We don't have endless money and can't recklessly. I think they mean spend recklessly. Where are you at with that, Unks?
Do you know what? I think it's a nice thought. I think you'd go along with that thing.
It's wishful.
But then when you're looking to put 50 million down for a backup, I don't hold it. I don't hold that fact. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I'd rather like forget about that one and move to other things. Listen, I understand that you've got, you know, other, you know, you want to get this and want to get that, and there's a structure and there's a wage cap and whatever, and this and this and that. There's only a certain amount you can spend, and listen, you have to, you know, like juggle it about a little bit. I get all of that, but at the end of the day, I'm not happy with a skinflinting on something that we desperately need and we've needed for the last 2 years. I'm sorry, and I don't think it's acceptable that centre forward should be in the door now, and we shouldn't be haggling over 2 million or 3 million. You know what I mean? That should be done, sorted.
I can't disagree with what Unks has said there, man. Again, for me, I think maybe in previous years you could have, I might not have agreed with it, but I'd be more relaxed on those kind of things. I think with what we haven't done in a few years, what we want to do next year, we've left